You just can't let them go.
Stay on the road. Keep clear to the moors.
Welcome to Screams and Streams, the podcast that looks at the best and worst horror movies as rated on Rotten Tomatoes from 1970 onwards. I'm your host, Mike, and with me is my co-host,
Chad.
Make sure you stop by our website, screamsandstreams.com, and also check us out on Instagram. Our handle is @ScreamStreamPod. Just a warning, if you don't like spoilers, we recommend that you stop listening now, check out the film, and then rejoin us for our discussion. Today, we are looking at John Landis's 1981 film, An American Werewolf in London. It scored 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's get into it. Chad, do you want to give us our plot summary?
For sure. So this is from the IMDb website. It says, 2 American college students on a walking tour of Britain are attacked by a werewolf that none of the locals will admit exists.
So I feel like, so that's the first 10 minutes of the film. What's the rest of it about?
Yeah, exactly. There is one that's quite more detailed, but it tells like the whole story of the film.
It's more a synopsis than a summary.
Yeah, I don't really want to read that one.
No,
it's
that's
very long. So, yeah.
Feels like every 1980s trailer, though. It's like wacky shenanigans ensue or something like that. We're going to move into our sinister sip for this film. And this cocktail comes via Liqr Media on YouTube, Liqr. And this is the Werewolf Cocktail. It's equal parts Jack Daniels and Drambuie.
Oh.
So let's give her a sip.
Alrighty. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh, it's got a bite.
It's got a punch, but it's nice. That Drambuie really sweetens it up.
Oh, yeah. No, that's tasty.
Yeah, and you can find the recipe for that and our other cocktails we've had on our website and our Instagram. We're going to move into our first impressions. Chad, what did you think of the film?
I actually really liked it. So coming out of the gate, this is the first time I've ever seen it. I've always...
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you with that.
No. So I've always seen it in Blockbuster.
Yeah.
To date myself here. And I always thought, oh, I kind of want to watch this, but I never picked it up. There's always something else I picked instead. Yeah. So this is actually the first time I ever watched it. So this is a true first impression. I really liked the banter between the friends.
Oh, they were great.
I thought they were awesome together. I liked the use of comedy in a crazy thing that happens to these 2 young hitchhikers that are backpacking through Britain. The music, I mean, we're going to get into this with the categories and stuff. The music at the beginning and throughout, I thought was just, because it's all moon related, right? Of course, you have CCR in there and you have Blue Moon and all that. And so it was what it was. I wouldn't say I hated it. I didn't love it, but it was okay.
Yeah. But
I really enjoyed the film overall. I thought it was well done. Yeah, it became kind of a favorite. There were some laugh out loud moments for me.
Yeah. Definitely.
What did you think?
So my first watching of this was when I was 10 years old.
Was it at a party where you were all talking about... What horror movie are we going to watch?
No, this one actually wasn't at a friend's house where the father introduced the film. Yeah. This is when my family was on vacation and my parents kind of just pawned me off on this other family that was at the resort with us.
Oh, yeah.
Because they wanted to go to the Mai Tai hour down by the pool. So it was me and these 2 other boys, and we were just bored and we were flipping through the channels, and American Werewolf in London came on TV.
Nice.
And watched it at 10 years old. So it was a shocking,
no doubt.
Film.
Yeah.
At 10, I liked it. Didn't quite understand everything that was going on.
Right.
But I still remembered the transformation scene. It just always sat in the back of my head.
That thing, we're going to talk about that later. That thing was awesome. Still. I thought, just talk about the categories all over. It's so hard to...
Should we give our first impressions last?
To do this and not go into the categories right away because, the transformation scene was really cool. I liked it. Yeah.
And it sat in my head for years after.
It's so disturbing. Yeah. And well acted too.
Yeah. So good. We'll get to that when we get to it. Sorry. I didn't really watch it again until now. So this was a fairly fresh rewatch.
Nice.
Because 36 years later, everything's not there. And I loved it as well. I loved the banter between the 2 guys as they're walking. And
right out at the beginning, you think they were buddies, right?
Yeah. Their on-screen chemistry was so good.
Yeah. It was really, really good. Yeah.
And then once he gets back to London and it becomes sort of that monster horror flick, it just blew me away. I was amazed with how tight it was and creepy and unsettling in parts. And for John Landis, John Landis's comedy, and that's all I know him as. So to come and watch this film and he's doing a horror movie and horror comedy, there's comedy, but it's not laugh out loud.
No.
his other films are. And so I quite liked it. I thought he did a really good job. And I have seen American Werewolf in Paris.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that in the theater.
Yeah.
And I was really worried because that one's terrible.
Oh.
And so I was really happy with how good this one is. And still watching it, so many years later, it's still so great.
It's still really well done. Yeah. I agree.
And there's so much I want to say, but it all falls into our categories later.
Know.
So
This one, I find I struggle with a little more than the others to avoid the categories in the first impression because you just want to mention all the little things that stood out. Yeah.
Because it is so good. So good. But stay tuned for the rest of the podcast to find out what we're not talking about.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay. We're going to go into our Tropes Hall of Shame, and I'm going to kick us off.
Okay.
And the first one is the strangers walk into a bar and it goes silent.
Oh, yeah. I had that one too.
Yeah. Just.
And they all stare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite version of that is Weird Science, when they walk into the jazz bar and you get the needle scratch.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is essentially it. And then my next one is, and I was rewatching the film this morning just for bits of it, the silencing a room with a question.
Yeah.
Where they're all laughing about the Alamo joke. And then he's like, hey, what is that thing on the wall? And just drop.
Yeah.
Get out.
They just stare at him.
Yeah. So those are my first two. What did you have?
Mine was kind of related to the one where they walk in and everybody just stares at them, but it's the not telling people the secret. They're just stay off the road or stay on the road.
Avoid the moors.
And you hear that and they give no reason why.
Yeah.
There's a 5-pointed star on the wall. They give no reason why.
Yeah.
They don't tell them anything and they make this attempt. Oh, you can't let them go. Make this attempt that they're worried about them. So, well, just tell them what's going on. And you don't have to say a werewolf because people think you're crazy, but you could say there are a lot of wild animals out there and people have gone missing. So maybe, either stay here or stay on the road.
Yeah.
This is why you need to stay on the road. I love the name of the pub too. The Slaughtered Lamb was it? And the picture of it when they look at it is like, oh, that's a nice, but the slaughtered lamb.
I'd really be able to convince someone to go into that with me. Like,
and no music is playing whatsoever when they walk in. These old dudes are just around there playing darts and chess and laughing. The other trope I had was, and we've noticed this a lot in our horror movies, is that the investigation is never, ever really done by the police.
Right. Yeah.
It's always done by somebody else. And in this case, it's done by the doctor who all of a sudden starts asking questions. And he goes to the slaughtered lamb and has a pint of Guinness. And unfortunately, he doesn't finish it. But so he goes and he starts asking questions and doing the investigation. But the cops just, it's a suicide or it's a wild animal, case closed, done.
Right. Yeah. I had a few others that are just kind of glaringly obvious. And so I sometimes struggle with this trope category because we are pointing out what is the glaringly obvious trope, but then it's like, it just seems too easy to point out. But there's the, waking from a nightmare, but you're still within the nightmare.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Where he has that weird, like Nazi monster.
Yeah. I didn't
dream.
Understand that. Yeah. That was really weird.
Yeah. Like, is it a Cold War thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
But then he wakes from that and then he wakes from another nightmare.
Right.
And then I had the animals can smell the monster.
Oh yes.
Right? So they're like,
the dog barks at him. Yeah. It's true. Dogs can sense evil.
Yeah. And then the last one is like pleading with the monster within to try and save the person. Like, I know you're in there. If you can hear me,
right.
Fight the monster, fight it. And like, it never works. I've never seen it work.
No,
maybe Altered States. So those were my tropes. So now we're going to move into our one-liners. Chad, what were some of your first two?
One I thought was funny is those sheep shit on my backpack. And like right out of the gate, they're catching a ride and they're in the back of that pickup truck with all the sheep. He's like, those sheep shit in my backpack. So that was one.
I'm going to interrupt you. That scene endeared me so much to the two of them.
Yeah.
When they're like talking to the sheep, like, bye ladies. It was great. Like, it was just so funny and just so witty.
Yeah.
And he delivered it so naturally. I almost felt like it wasn't scripted and it was just an actor throwing the line out. It was just so beautifully done. Okay, sorry. What was your next line?
The next one was in the hospital where he's recovering from his injuries. And the nurse says, I think he's a Jew. I've had a look.
Yeah, I had that one too.
And then the other nurse comes in. It's a very common practice nowadays.
Yeah. Well, in the UK, it's not, and it's still not.
Yeah.
I did like that. What makes you say that? I had a look.
Yeah.
That was one of mine. I like that as well. My first line I wrote down was just "Beware the moon, lads."
Oh yeah,
because just so good. It was delivered so well, but then it also reminded me of like Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Were-Rabbit, where it's like "Beware the moon," and his ass is hanging out. There were so many things in this movie that reminded me of like, again, it's one of those like dangers of being satirized or parodied,
right? Yeah.
But we're in other films where it's taken me out. This one almost bought me in more. Yeah. I like the line where they're sort of like, "Are you sure this happened? Are you sure you're remembering?" And David's like, "My memory's fine. It's my sanity I'm beginning to wonder about."
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah, I like that. What else did you have?
This one, and I should have wrote down where it was said, but the naked truth about naughty Nina. Do you remember that line?
No.
I wrote it down, but I didn't timestamp it. So I was like, that was one of them. There's another one that I had that was, "Benjamin, have you ever been severely beaten about the face and neck?" It's like, okay. Those were my other two.
What's weird is like I'm searching that naked truth about naughty Nina, and it's coming up with Nina Carter. And then there's like, "Don't miss the naked truth about naughty Nina."
That's the one.
Starting in the news of the world tomorrow. So maybe it was just a line on the TV.
Yeah. I think it was a news reporter.
Quite
right?
possibly, yeah. Just talking about the life of Nina Carter. Maybe.
Yeah.
My next one is when Jack is appearing to David in a vision or a dream or whatever you want to call it, or an apparition. And he's like, "Have you ever talked to a corpse? It's boring."
Yeah.
We'll get into that scene later in other categories, but it's just like the gruesomeness of what has happened to him.
Yeah.
But he's just so happy while he's talking, and he's just got this great affectation to his voice.
He's talking to him like he's still alive and he's still his buddy and nothing has happened.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, bits of his face are hanging off. Like it. Yeah, that's really good.
I have this one written down and I'm not sure. I think it's when he's transformed into the werewolf and he's terrorizing London, and the woman's looking out the window because they're waiting for the dinner party. And she's like, just this perfect posh, like they call them beaver teeth. And she's like, "Sean, there's hooligans in the park again." Yeah. Meanwhile, their friends are being torn.
Yeah, just ripped apart. Yeah.
Did you have any other lines?
I did, yeah. So I do remember where that naked truth about naughty Nina came from. It's a special about Nina Carter, and and they say, "Oh, and her life," and they're introducing it. And then the title of the special is "Don't Miss the Naked Truth About Naughty Nina."
Oh, okay.
And then it fades off. I remember laughing about that and just writing it down. And as we investigated, now I remember. But another one I had is "The Naked American Man Stole My Balloons."
Yeah.
That whole scene was hilarious.
Phenomenal. So good.
He's in the bush. Hey kid, and he's naked. And
that could have gone sideways so fast.
"Come on over here. I'll give you money for your balloon." And he's like, "I don't think so."
He's like one step away from "Want some candy?"
Yeah, I know. It
mustache
was
and aviator
so
glasses.
Greasy. He's butt naked behind this bush. And it was the best scene. I lost it. I was like, "What is going on here?" And then he comes up, "Mom, a naked American man stole my balloon." The other one I had was not really a quote, but it was on the poster in the subway where that one guy gets killed by the werewolf. It was a poster for "Nonstop Orgy. See you next Wednesday."
Yes. Yeah. I've got research about that.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I'll just drop it in now. See You Next Wednesday is a running gag through Landis films. It's a porno film that's not a real porno film.
Yeah.
And so he tries to drop in references to it throughout his films and things like that.
Okay.
And that's actually the movie that's playing in the porno theater later.
Right.
Is See You Next Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah. But I did see that too. I'm like, London was a different city back then.
Yeah.
I didn't see any advertisements like that, unfortunately, last summer. I went to the Sherlock Museum and the British Museum of Art.
You missed the orgy.
Yeah, I had the wrong vacation. My last line is when he's at the bus stop and he's just in the coat.
Yeah.
And the person's looking at him. He's just like, "A lot of weather we've been having lately."
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing untowards to what you're seeing. A naked man in a woman's red coat.
Yeah. A lot of weather we've been.
He's just so polite. And like the fact that the Londoners don't react.
I know.
Is beautiful. It's so well done. So well done.
They just look at him and they're like, "Okay, this is how it is." Yeah, so good.
So those lines were great, but now we're going to move into what doesn't hold up. Chad, what was the first thing that didn't hold up for you?
Well, first of all, it's the whole concept of hitchhikers. You just don't see hitchhikers anymore, right? I remember like even, 10, 15 years ago, people were, I think, still hitchhiking. My brother-in-law brother-in-law was a hitchhiker. And I just think they're probably still around, but they're just not as commonplace as they were back then.
Yeah. For me, the thing that didn't hold up was the makeup in his nightmare when he's in the hospital bed in the woods and he wakes up and he's got those contact lenses that he's got like the thriller eyes.
He looks like a vampire. Yeah. A vampire zombie type character. Yeah. Yeah.
It just didn't work for me because the rest of the makeup in this film is phenomenal.
Yeah. Really well done.
So it's just like, why would they either cheap out on that or go in that direction? I don't know. I didn't find any research about the purpose of that or the intentionality. So I don't know. It just doesn't work for me.
It actually confused me a little bit because he does look more of a vampire than he does a werewolf in that particular scene. So
yeah, for sure.
When they just flash it, and it really didn't need to be there.
No.
They could have had him just running through the woods and they didn't need that. So
for sure.
My other one was there were parts at the end where I wasn't buying the werewolf.
Oh. Sorry. Yeah. I'm laughing just because I didn't know where to put that either, but that werewolf makeup.
Yeah. It was kind of rough.
When he's fully transformed, he just looks like a Shar-Pei crossed with a bear or something.
I know. He just looks like a big teddy bear.
Yeah.
And the puppet or whatever they're using, it's just turning its head and rah, rah.
Yeah.
Like that focus on the eyes, cool. The quick shots where he's attacking people, really well done.
Yeah.
But when they actually focused on him walking through the streets of London, you lost me.
Yeah. When he breaks through the barrier of the theater in Piccadilly Circus.
It was just a little much. Yeah. So yeah, that was my next one.
The reveal of the monster in a lot of these things just takes the edge off. Yeah.
Right? Because you're always more afraid of what you don't see. And I think as soon as you pull back the curtain, it can never live up to what has been built up
absolutely
in the movie. So you're just, oh, that's it?
Yeah.
And that's how I felt. Like as soon as he jumped out and was walking through the street, I was just, oh, man.
Yeah.
But the rest of the movie is really, really awesome. That one just kind of stuck out for me.
For sure. We're now going to move into our most gratuitous scene. Chad, what was one of the most gratuitous scenes for you?
It was the chaos after the wolf breaks through the barrier into, what is it, Piccadilly Square?
Piccadilly Square, yeah.
That was insane. The amount of crashes and craziness that happened when he got out of the theater was out of hand.
Yeah.
And long.
Oh, yeah. It just went on and on.
And boom, 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 like triple, quadruple car pileups. And the double-decker bus is going over. Like
people getting smashed into vehicles. It was amazing.
It was crazy. Yeah. So that one, I put that one as my first. Yeah.
Oh, that was a good one. For me, it was the blood when Jack gets taken by the werewolf.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just because we haven't had a truly gory film in a while.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I remember the transformation scene from when I was 10. I don't remember that amount of blood.
Right.
But I loved it. I loved the gore and the effects in this film. It was just so good.
Yeah, that was crazy.
What was another one of your gratuitous?
Well, I don't know if this is gratuitous or stood the test of time so I had one, maybe two, but I'm going to say the transformation scene because it was just wild.
Yeah.
And I actually have the transformation scene a couple of times throughout this.
Yeah.
Because it was just so good.
And fully lit.
Yeah.
Like no hiding in the shadows, no behind a curtain.
No.
Just here it all is.
And you watch it happen.
Yeah.
Like very rarely, especially in the 80s, do you see the guy's face elongate into a wolf nose and you actually watch it happen, or his hands or his forearm extend. And I was just blown away by the special effects in that scene. And it was crazy well done.
Yeah. And then you think about like the Teen Wolf transformation where basically like Michael J. Fox acts all weird and then looks up and he's hairy. And it's like, oh, we saw none of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they show hair growing and we hear some growling and then it's roar. And then there he is. Yeah.
Yeah. But this one's the full experience.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Now we are going to move into terrifying or titillating. I mean, the titillating, the easy one is the sex scene between him and the nurse.
Yep.
It came up in the research where Landis had shot a far more explicit scene, but had to cut it back.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think fine. Like we didn't need the explicitness of that in there.
Yeah.
I am going to comment on the terrifying, actually. Like that scene in the moors.
Yeah.
When they're walking and there's the howling and they're lost and confused.
Yeah.
Was unnerving.
Yeah.
It was so well done.
What I really liked about that is they didn't use the stereotypical wolf howl. Like, oh, they didn't do that. It was like a bark howl kind of thing. It sounded really creepy.
Yeah.
And was all around them. They're like, where's that coming from?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's getting closer. And then they start running. And then it was well done.
Very well done. Yeah. For you, what were your terrifying and titillating?
Actually, both the same ones. Yeah. The titillating one with the nurse, she's super attractive in this movie and wears the little nurse outfit and everything. Yeah. That's the obvious one. And then, the terrifying was the Moore scene. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. We are now going to move into Stood the Test of Time, and I'm going to start us off. And we've already talked about this one. It came up in our first impressions, and it is the banter between the two. Yeah. Between David and Jack. You'd think they'd been friends their entire life with how well they played off of each other and just like sort of did those little jabs. It was a great script and just great performance by the two of them. Yeah. And then my other Stood the Test of Time. And again, this is from our last category as well, but it is the panic and fear on the moors. Like their portrayal of that. We've talked about this before. It's hard to act drunk and it's hard to act terrified. Yes. And at no point did I not believe the emotions they're conveying. Like they were terrified. They were scared. They were confused. So it was very well done. What were some of your tests of time?
Well, I thought the whole comedy in this film, like the whole thing where they interject these funny little bits throughout, I thought was really well done. So the comedy in this horror film stood the test of time for me. I also have the transformation scene again, stood the test of time for me. And the blood, I'm always hypercritical about blood not looking real enough. And it was awesome.
Yeah. And that was my next one was Jack's dead makeup.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He decomposes over every visit. Yes. And they do such a good job of that. Yeah. But when he first shows up at the hospital and he's got like the skin hanging off and you see the tendons and the sinew.
And he's talking just like nothing's happened.
Yeah. And I was rewatching it this morning and I was looking at that. I'm like, you can't see the seam. They did such a good job of blending that in. And with an HD restoration, usually it reveals the secret or shows the wizard behind the curtain. No, like that was so well done. Yeah. Just so gory.
Yeah. I think just in general, the special effects in this film, overall, except for the end scene with the werewolf, stood the test of time. We're all really well done.
Yeah, for sure. I had the transformation scene as well. Again, just fully lit. You see the whole process.
It's so hard not to keep bringing it up. Yeah. We've already talked about it 3 or 4 times, right? Yeah. It is that good.
And it's flawless. It stands up. Like this is the definition of stood the test of time. Yeah. For everything we've looked at so far. Okay. We are now going to move into eerie to ear splitting. Chad, what is your take on the music and score in the film?
Well, I had kind of made mention of it in my first impressions, and it was the multiple versions of Blue Moon that they played, and then they had Bad Moon Rising, and it just seemed to make it too light. Yeah. I know there's comedy in here and stuff like that, and we made mention of that and how well it's used in this film, but the music just makes it too over the top, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, it takes it from an attempt of a series. I know that Landis might not have been trying, like I know he was trying to make like a comedy horror. Yeah. But it pulls it over to that line of like the scary movie level where it's like, now we're making fun of horror movies. Yes. But the rest of the film doesn't have that tone. And so the music dances on that line, but draws you across it more than the rest of the film required or
Yeah. No, it just doesn't seem quite right. Yeah. Odd enough that it kind of takes you out of the moment. Yeah. So that was my big comment about that. I didn't find anything, I wouldn't say it was ear splitting. It just didn't seem to fit. Yeah. As far as eerie goes, the sound effects of the werewolf, I thought was really well done. Yeah. And then the fact that when they're walking in the moors, there's not really any music at all. Mm-hmm. And they're just doing their banter, and then you see them get scared, and then they get attacked. But yeah, it's well done.
Landis does a great job of letting the film speak for itself without cueing the audience with music. Like you said, there's no music in the pub. Yeah. Right? Like the music shuts off, and then it's just the banter of the patrons and that for the rest of it. And so it's that warning and everything that gives you that sense of fear and trepidation. And then, it's their portrayal on the moors. So I agree. Like the use of silence or the lack of score really helps this film. I had the same thing. Like it's my first note because it's the first thing. Like I put opening a werewolf movie with Blue Moon. Come on. Yeah. And then it's like Bad Moon Rising. Jesus. Moon Dance by Van Morrison. Like we get it. And in the research, it talked about how there was a few other songs that he was trying to get a Bob Dylan song and Bob Dylan said no based on religious beliefs. So Landis was intentionally seeking out these songs.
Moon songs. Yeah.
And I have a hard time with any film that hits the nail on the head that hard with their song. Yeah. Where it's like,
or every war movie that plays Fortunate Son.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just too on the nose. And it, thankfully, the music's at the start, the music's at the end, but he lets the rest of the film sort of exist between the bookends and be of itself, which thank God there wasn't like, and this moon song, and this moon song.
No, it was enough to make me think, okay, what the heck? But it wasn't enough to make me not like the movie because of it.
Right.
It was just, okay, yeah, let's just get through this.
Yeah. Now, Chad, do you want to give us our what the fuck moment?
My what the fuck moment was in the moors when he got attacked and his buddy just ran away. And then he was like, oh, Jack. And then he runs back.
Yeah.
And he's ripped apart just to shreds. He's like, oh my God. And then he gets attacked. But it was just, this thing comes out of nowhere. And it actually got me like, it's howling all around. And then they start running and then boom. I was just, whoa. And then he just gets ripped apart.
Yeah.
And he's screaming the whole time, help me, help me. And his buddy is on his way.
Yeah, he is the definition of fight or flight, and he is flight.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. Got the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah, and then he thinks about it. He's like, oh, I should save my friend, but the deed is done. He's like way past that.
Yeah.
And then he gets attacked, and then the werewolf gets shot by the villagers and stuff. But that was my what the fuck. I was like, whoa.
I guess that would be my what the fuck as well, where it's like, so they kick him out of the pub, and the one's like, you can't let them go.
Yeah.
And she keeps like pleading to them. Then they do sort of feel guilty and go to save him. It's like, well, you brought this on yourselves. Like,
yeah,
if you cared that much, you shouldn't have let the guys go. You should have chased after them. And like, how does an entire bar full of people, like no one goes after to say like, hey, stay back?
It seemed like that one guy playing chess really had command over everybody in that pub.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure why. Like, I didn't know why he could dictate what everybody else said.
Yeah.
Right? Because the one guy playing darts was talking to the doctor.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that guy shows up. That's enough of that. And silences him. And then the guy runs away.
Yeah.
It's like, what power or hold does he have to make everybody just fall into line and deny that this exists?
Yeah. Why is everyone afraid of him?
Yeah. I didn't get it.
Okay, we're now going to move into our back it up moments, and I'm going to start us off with this one. And for me, it's the London Underground or the tube scene.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Just every angle was so good. And one, it's amazing how much the London Underground has not changed from 1981 to when I was there last summer.
Right.
Like it's almost identical. But I really liked the shot down the escalator, where it does this weird like angle of the escalator becomes your horizon line.
Yeah.
And he starts to come up and you see the werewolf coming from behind. It's just so well done. So creepy.
Yeah. My back it up moment is the theater scene when they're in the porno and he's listening to all the dead people talk. It is so funny.
So good.
And this woman's moaning in the background. You got to kill yourself. And they're talking about suicide and how he's going to, like, this dark topic. And the couple that got, like, destroyed by him are just the nicest Hello.
Just proper British hospitality.
Yeah,
right?
it really reminded me of Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
When they're introducing everybody's like, hi. And people are getting chewed and... and spit out, and there's all this stuff happening and this heavy weight on his shoulders, and they're just talking in a porno.
Yeah.
My favorite scene.
Yeah,
It's so just good. So funny.
My other back it up, and we've alluded to this in our other comments, but it is the morning after in the zoo.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. Especially like I'll bring some stuff up in the research that just makes it even more just holy crap. But he wakes up and he's in the wolf enclosure and he's got to get out. And that awkward encounter with the boy, like,
that is golden.
This would never play well in this day and age.
No.
But I absolutely loved when you've got that wide shot of the woman on the bench or the couple on the bench and her coat's over the side. And he just runs from camera right to camera left, just and yoinks the coat. It's so
Takes
good.
The coat,
That scene was so well done.
Yeah.
We are now going to go into our bonus feature. So I'm going to start off, and I'm glad this didn't happen because I think it would have ruined the film. But the studio, based on the success of the Blues Brothers, wanted Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi to play David and Jack.
No, that's not right. I'm so glad that didn't happen.
As good as they were in the Blues Brothers, I just can't see them having that sort of like down home goodness inside of them.
No.
That makes them appeal to you.
It's a totally different movie with those two in it.
Yeah.
I don't think so. No. I had one. This is about the transformation scene. Rick Baker claimed to have been disappointed by the amount of time spent shooting the face changing shot for the transformation after having spent months working on the mechanism.
Yeah.
John Landis only required one take, lasting about 7 seconds. And Baker felt he had wasted his time until seeing the film with an audience that applauded during that 1 7-second shot.
Yeah.
I mean, 7 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but it is.
On screen, it's a long time.
It's a long time, yeah.
If we went silent for 7 seconds, our listeners would be like, Jesus Christ,
What's
this
happening?
is painful. Yeah. Just on the transformation scene, like it took 10 months of planning, a week to film for that 2.5 minute scene.
Right.
The filming days for that transformation scene were 10 hours for David to get into makeup, 5 hours of filming, and 3 hours to remove the makeup.
Wow.
Just for that 2.5 minute scene. Yeah. Like,
holy smokes.
worth every second of that, though.
Yes, for sure. Like we said, it's still really, really well done.
Yeah.
This film I kind of found interesting was filmed in sequence.
Yeah.
Not a lot of films are filmed in sequence. They're kind of, okay, we're going to do this scene, and they shoot the end first and then come back and all over the place. Sometimes actors don't even know what's happened until they see the finished product, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
I had one on the filming in the Piccadilly Circus.
Oh yeah.
Because filming had been banned in the Piccadilly Circus for a long time. And so Landis had to bribe police to let him film. And so I think he bribed them with like a film and other treats to get them to like just let them go. But they filmed from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. That's all they were allowed to do. And they were allowed to stop traffic 3 times for 2 minutes of a maximum each time.
Oh.
And so they shot all of that chaos in 2 nights. So 6 hours at 2 minutes traffic stop per bit 3 times to get all of that. And I just, it plays
that blows
so
me
well.
away. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I had a little thing from David Naughton, the guy who was the main character in the film, when he talks about the zoo scene.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he says, as for running naked around the London Zoo in the scene where I'm in the wolf cage, the only reassurance I had was that the wolves had just been fed.
Right.
But the handlers still said there were to be no loud noises or fast moves. Okay, I said, hopefully this will just be one take. So we start rolling the cameras. We were supposed to be done by 9 a.m., but we overran. At one point, I looked up and said, wow.
Yeah.
Why have you got all those extras over there? And they replied, they're not extras. The zoo's open.
Not only was he like in public exposed filming those scenes, but all of the animal handlers were women. So he's like, are there no male animal handlers? Like, we got to get the shot, David.
Yeah. Oh, man. Just a different time, eh?
And I guess the scene where the wolves approach him wasn't planned.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they told him like, no, they'll stay far away. That's part of the whole, they've been fed, right?
Yeah.
They won't be curious with you. And so they started to approach him, and his like getting out and climbing up was kind of improv to like, I'm getting away from these things.
Right. How scary would that be?
Oh, I don't know how you're
just
naked in front of random people and a bunch of women, and wolves are walking up
and
to
to
you.
keep your composure. And like we said, like that scene is one of the best scenes. That whole zoo experience is hilarious.
Yeah.
And the zoo's open. You're running around naked. If people would just be like, huh, what's going on here?
And you think like, and now whenever there's nudity, like it's a closed set and it's like only the required people are there.
They shut down everything.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Whereas there's like, it's just.
Yeah. Oh, the zoo's open. It's like, what? We're still opening zoos?
But that almost speaks to like the UK is much more open when it comes to like nudity and things like that.
Yeah, that is true.
And so I bet you people going to the zoo to be like, oh, it's a film. Oh, he's naked. Yeah, whatever. Let's go see the polar bear. So
Which actually speaks to that scene where you said you love how he's just sitting there in his jacket. And, and there's like, I had a lot of weather lately.
It's like, that's okay.
Yeah. This just happens.
You had talked about the wolf howl.
Yeah.
And it's cool because like the wolf howl was actually a composite of 9 different sounds. And it was a wolf, a lion, a panther, and a locomotive were the parts that I could find. Yeah. So there's a bunch of other sounds included in that to make it otherworldly.
Yeah. Well, it's like nothing I've ever heard before. Right. Yeah. And I love the fact that they didn't just go with the regular howl. Right.
Yeah. We talked about this when we were talking about our eerie to ear splitting. Cat Stevens wouldn't give permission for Landis to use the song Moon Shadow because he believed werewolves were real.
Oh.
Yeah. Or Sufjan Stevens. But Cat Stevens at the time. And then Bob Dylan wouldn't let Landis use his cover of Blue Moon due to religious reasons. So those were, so he used other versions of Blue Moon. And that's probably why he did Moon Dance by Van Morrison instead.
You know what I thought was kind of weird is at the beginning, I could have put this in the hiding in the shadows, but at the beginning, it's lycanthrope films.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I was wondering, did you run across anything in your research about that?
No.
Because I've never seen that before or since.
Right. I saw that too. And I'm like, oh, that's, again, nail on the head.
Yeah, like they really hit this werewolf thing like right out of the gate.
I do like this because it's come up in a few others where, you know, the MPAA or someone requests a change to the film and they change nothing and it gets through.
Yeah.
So studio executives asked Landis to tone down the gore after they saw the first cut of the film. He showed the exact same cut and they approved of the changes. So it just shows how suggestible these people are. It's like, yeah, I took your notes and I made some changes. Like, oh, this is great.
Yeah. Gold star. Yeah. You can go ahead. Yeah.
On the gore, just two other things. Griffin Dunn, who plays Jack, when he watched the film, he dealt with depression.
Oh, really?
Or maybe not when he saw the film, but when he saw himself in the makeup, he faced his mortality for the first time.
Really?
Yeah. So he had a bout of depression and had to get like help with that just because.
Wow.
Yeah. It was too realistic even though he knew it was makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this won the Academy Award for Best Makeup, and it was the first.
Yeah. I did read that. Yeah. I found that. Yeah, that's good that it did because it really is worth seeing this film just for that.
Yeah, so the Academy must have been like, we've got to give something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool that they made a category. There were other films that they sort of shoehorned into other places to recognize the work. But yeah, this was the first Best Makeup, which is a category that still runs today.
Right.
And then box office, they got $62 million.
On a budget of
$5.8 million.
It made 62 million.
It made 62. So it did quite well at the box office. Yeah.
Which is why they did another one.
So many years later. And
did not do as well, I guess.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one either.
Landis had no part in it.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you can't have those characters because they're both dead.
Yeah. Well, and his son had wanted to make a sequel.
Oh, okay.
And Landis talked his son out of it. He's like, don't make a sequel to it. It won't be as good.
Yeah.
So he knew he had a gem to just leave.
Yeah.
And then, years later, I don't even know. We're going to be doing American Werewolf in Paris as one of our bads. So,
oh, goody. Yeah. So I will see it. It will be my first impression because I'm not watching it till we do it. But yeah. I had a question though. So this one could have been hiding in the shadows as well. His buddy was killed by the first werewolf.
Right.
He wasn't killed by David Naughton.
Right.
So when that werewolf got shot and killed, shouldn't the curse of the werewolf have ended for him? Because
that's what they say is like, you need to kill yourself to end the bloodline.
Yeah, but he didn't kill him. So all the other ones that he sees, the undead people that he sees walking the earth and stuff, I get because he killed them.
Right.
So they're attached to him. But the first one was killed. Well, his buddy was killed by that first werewolf and then they killed that werewolf. So shouldn't he be able to rest? Or is it just the fact that there's a werewolf around that's the curse of the werewolf, and no matter what, all the undead people, because then every person that he killed should have been haunting David Naughton's character as well.
Right.
As long as the curse is still around, all of them should have been
around as well.
Yeah.
Huh. I was going to defend it with, because the bloodline is still alive through David Naughton.
Right.
Therefore, that's why Jack is not at rest. But then everyone else should also be following him.
Yes. You shouldn't just see the ones that he killed. You should see all the ones that the werewolves have killed through however long werewolves have been around, right? Because if it's the curse of the werewolf that we're following,
right, then
everybody who's affected by that curse should be haunting him.
You just ruined the movie, man.
Sorry. It's just,
but it's a good point.
It's just one thing that I was thinking about as I finished watching it. I just thought, well, why is his buddy still talking to him? Like, I don't care about the other ones.
Yeah.
But him coming back just raised that question to me. So sorry.
No, it's okay.
I didn't mean to wreck the movie or anything. It's probably just a slip up or whatever, but it's just something that I thought about.
Sorry. I'm going through the quotes on IMDb trying to see if I can find like Jack's explanation as to why. And I just found this one exchange that happens in the theater that's just so good that I completely forgot about, where they're talking about how David can kill himself and Harry Berman's like, a gun is good, and Judith's like, you just put it to your forehead and pull the trigger. And then the other victim, Gerald's like, if you put it in your mouth, then you'd be sure not to miss. And David's like, thank you, you're all so thoughtful.
I know. That scene is just awesome. The way they all talk about him killing himself. And then he says something like, don't I need a silver bullet?
Yeah.
And they just, come on.
Well, and it's interesting because they keep making references to the old werewolf movies of like the old studio films. But then, they then throw
follow any of the, like, silver is never mentioned and or whatever else a werewolf is allergic to.
Yeah.
Silver is the one that I really know. Like, you kill him with a silver bullet. Has to be a silver bullet.
Has to be a silver bullet, yeah. So I like the way they sort of twisted, but also paid homage to.
Right.
We're now going to move into our watchability scale. And I think your questions actually helped me solidify where I wanted to put this, because I've been sort of pinballing around the numbers as we've been going through this.
Oh, okay.
And I think that I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay.
It is a great film and it is definitely worth a watch, but that giant plot hole you just pointed out brings it down a bit. But there isn't a lot that brings it down. So, because I was like, it's not a 10, it's not quite there, but it's a 9, but then your plot hole. So I'll sit at an 8 with this.
Yeah. And that was my original thing. I said 8 out of 10. It's really good. I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I just thought the music bothered me. The plot hole there, whether or not it is a plot hole, I don't know. There was no explanation as to why, so I don't know what that is. And then there was, we talked about the tropes and stuff like that. So there was enough to just bring it down to an 8, but it's still an awesome movie and worth a watch. Yeah.
I don't want to go lower than an 8 because then it's like I'm getting to that. We're close to the Omen / Carrie, and I hold this far above that. It's
better than those. It's way better than the Omen. Yeah. So.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for listening to us. Remember to follow us on Instagram. We are at ScreamStreamPod. Stop by our website, screamsandstreams.com, for more information about our episodes, descriptions of our categories, links to our research, our watchability scale, and a page where you can recommend movies you want us to discuss. And please rate, comment on, and subscribe to our show on any of the platforms where you get your podcasts. Until next time, this has been Mike and
Chad.
Scare you later.